Hey everyone, my name's Alec Pritzos with Microsoft. I am joined by Sarah Rogers from Connex. It's good to see everyone today. We also have Al Macy and Daniel Pacheco, our technical specialists, to deliver some demos. We have a lot of great stuff for you today around agentic AI with Microsoft in the contact center. And before we get there, we're actually going to do a quick overview of Microsoft technology, as well as Sarah is going to do a panel interview with Vikram over at Rogers Communications. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into it and just do a soft kind of introduction to how we see agentic AI at Microsoft. And so agentic AI is kind of a buzzword right now on LinkedIn and in the media. Here at Microsoft, it's something very real that we're seeing and deploying every day with our customers. And we really just want to introduce you to that. So there's two kind of key terms that we use in this space at Microsoft. We have copilots and, of course, agents or AI agents. Copilots are anything from a chatbot on your website to a virtual assistant in your IVR. And these two things work together to accomplish specific tasks. And so the chatbot or the agent has three different levels. You've got a retrieval agent, a task agent, and an autonomous agent. Your retrieval agents are going to do kind of just what they say. They're going to go through and retrieve data and present it back to your service members or your customers. And then you have task agents that are designated to complete a task based on that retrieved data. Lastly, you of course have your autonomous agents that are operating on their own based on conditions that you and your team set. And so Al and Daniel are going to dive into those. And before they do, and before I pass this over to Sarah, I just want to say this is all built on Dynamics Contact Center and Copilot Studio, which is the primary offering from Microsoft in the contact center space. And so with that, Sarah, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thanks, Alec, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So a little bit about Connex and our role in the evolution of the contact center. We work behind the scenes with some of North America's biggest brands to simplify complexity and bring modern CX to life. So that means stitching together the platforms that really power today's experiences, from voice and digital to AI, analytics, and workforce tools. Our focus is always on outcomes, faster delivery, smarter automation, and solutions that are easy to scale and manage. So our partnership with Microsoft is a big part of how we are helping organizations accelerate AI adoption. As a Microsoft AI Cloud partner, Connex works closely with teams like Alec, Daniel, and Al to bring agentic AI to life. So really integrating into real world environments with measurable impact. And that collaboration goes beyond technology. It's about a shared vision for what's next in both customer and agent experiences. So I had the opportunity to sit down with Vikram Burke from Rogers earlier this week to hear how they're leaning into technology to modernize their contact center to drive meaningful change really across the organization. So we spoke about innovation priorities, the impact of both customers and agents, and how the collaboration with partners like Microsoft and Connex support that journey. So let's take a look. Hi, Vikram. First, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Now, you've been with Rogers for more than 2 decades, which is an incredible tenure. And during that time, you've had the opportunity to help lead the organization through pivotal changes from early days of digital transformation to AI-driven advancements that we're seeing today, and that are really reshaping how Rogers supports its customers and empowers its frontline teams. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you on how Rogers continues to modernize and the role the strategic partnerships play in that journey. Just before we dive in, would you mind starting us off with a quick introduction of yourself and your role?
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. Vikram Virk, I'm a VP at Rogers. I've been with Rogers for 22 years. I started my career in the contact center space, and over the years, I've grown to take on additional roles. So in my current role, I'm VP of Enterprise Services. I'm responsible for end user services and contact center technologies, retail technologies, our corporate applications, and my team also takes care of all the BSS systems supporting Rogers for Business. So fairly vast portfolio that I currently have at Rogers.
Wow, that is indeed quite the vast portfolio. Thank you for sharing that. And to start us off, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the bigger picture. So, what role do partners like Connex and Microsoft play in accelerating Rogers' innovation?
Partners like Microsoft have made significant investments in innovative technologies, features, and capabilities aimed at enhancing customer experience, efficiency, and operations. And partners like Connex play an important role in making these innovative technologies a reality. Connex has facilitated the implementation and integration of Microsoft's contact center product set within Rogers.
That's such a clear picture of how these partnerships come to life, especially the way Microsoft drives the innovation and Connex helps bring it to the forefront. Let's dig a little bit deeper into that relationship. How long have you been working with Connex and what stood out about them as a partner to you?
Connex acquired Pulse, with whom we have collaborated for over 25 years. They consistently invest in keeping their resources updated with evolving technologies and are knowledgeable about our contact center space, our business needs, and the technology stack we have at Rogers. Their proficiency spans contact centers, IVR, workforce management, scheduling, voice biometrics, telco switches, monitoring, recording, QA, and front-end design and integration to our BSS systems.
I love it. It's clear that Connex brings both deep expertise and a long-standing insight into Rogers' needs. Zooming out a little bit, can you share about Rogers' broader contact center goals and how Connex has helped shape that vision?
So, Sarah, our focus has been on enhancing customer experience and self-serve capabilities. Over the years, we worked with Connex to upgrade all necessary components for operating our contact centers. We worked with Connex to replace our outdated technology, and most recently, we transitioned our IVR from traditional touchtone IVR to IVA using Microsoft NLU for conversational interactions.
It's impressive to see how much ground you've covered from those foundational updates through to conversational AI. From your perspective, what has been the most valuable part of the Connex partnership for your team so far?
So Rogers benefits significantly from Connex's extensive expertise in contact centers, particularly their proficiency with Microsoft Gatekeeper Voice ID and their expertise in Dynamic 365. Connex possesses a comprehensive understanding of Microsoft products and associated contact center applications, offering a range of resources to assist and sometimes lead our integration programs.
Wow, that kind of hands-on expertise, especially around the Microsoft stack, can make a big difference when you're navigating those complex integrations. On that note, as one of Microsoft's largest partners in Canada, can you tell us a bit more about why Rogers chose Microsoft?
So Rogers and Microsoft, we have a fairly extensive partnership. Rogers selected Microsoft for the contact center space due to its extensive range of products supporting the contact center efficiency and management. Microsoft, as I mentioned, we have a fairly large partnership with them, and Microsoft is using the same tools to support its end customers. These tools streamline operations, enhance customer service, and integrate seamlessly with existing systems, ensuring a robust and effective contact center infrastructure. And that's why we really, and Microsoft is a leader in AI and using the same tools to support its end customers. So the decision wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard either.
What really stands out to me is that Microsoft's not just developing these tools, they're relying on them to support their own customers, and that says a lot. With that in mind, what excites you most about Microsoft's approach to the agent experience?
So Microsoft products improve the agent experience by providing productivity tools and platforms such as Teams, Dynamic 365, and other AI capabilities on Azure. These empower agents with real-time collaboration, insightful customer data, and automated processes, which in turn enhances efficiency and agent satisfaction. Regular updates and ongoing support ensure agents have the latest features and security enhancements, maintaining peak performance in a constantly evolving work environment. Microsoft makes it easier for our front agents to support our customers.
That really brings it to life, giving agents the right tools with those real-time insights and a more connected experience makes a big difference for the team supporting customers like myself every day. When it comes to shaping that kind of experience, what has Rogers been prioritizing in its journey to modernize the contact center?
So, as most systems are, in technology, every few years we do have to upgrade and modernize. So, at Rogers, we prioritized modernizing our contact center by transitioning from end-of-life on-premise solutions to cloud-based SaaS offerings. This strategic shift includes the implementation of workforce management, integration of Microsoft's Gatekeeper Voice ID, and migration from Touchstone IVR systems to Microsoft's Conversational IVA. These advancements demonstrate Rogers' commitment to leveraging cutting-edge technology for improved service delivery to our end customers. Because end of the day, we are here to support and make life easier for our end customers.
That's a major transformation, and it really sets the stage for what's next. So as a part of this webinar, Microsoft is showcasing agentic AI in action with some real telco-specific use cases designed to make life easier for care reps. And I'd like to hear from you about what opportunities you see for digital agents to improve the human agent experience.
So AI is evolving. It is changing drastically, every month. And AI-driven tools can automate repetitive tasks using process automation, allowing agents to focus on more complex interactions with our customers. The data analytics provided by AI can provide actionable insights, which enables personalized customer support and also helps us with predictive issue resolution. Tools to assist agents or agent assist can offer better responses with information from our knowledge management tool and also provide call summaries, reducing average handle time in our care operations while letting the agents focus on customer needs.
Yeah, and that's such a key metric. It's clear the AI-driven tools are already making an impact from reducing the handle time, as you said, to giving agents smarter support in the moment. All of this points to a bigger transformation underway. Is there a recent example or initiative maybe that you're particularly proud of in Rogers' transformation journey?
Yes, sir. I'm particularly proud of the Intelligent Voice Assistant, IVA, recently implemented for one of our brands. IVAs have a personalized design to encourage self-service. These automated self-service applications can have natural conversational interactions with our customers. So instead of using the traditional touch-tone dial pad to route to an agent or complete a self-serve transaction, IVAs respond with open-ended prompts like, "How can I help you today?" using natural language understanding to determine the intent and progress the interaction accordingly. So I'm really proud of the implementation that we recently did.
Well, first of all, congratulations on that. And it's exciting to think about how much potential there is to keep improving both the customer and agent experience. As we look ahead, what are you most excited about as Rogers continues to lean into the future of technology?
So looking ahead, I'm most excited about the transformative potential of our ongoing investments in cutting-edge technologies. Our commitment to expanding and enhancing our network, particularly with 5G, it will revolutionize the way we live, work, and interact with the world around us. We are embracing digital transformation with a focus on AI-enabled solutions, collaborating with partners like Connex, Microsoft, and others to develop platforms that support agile, cloud-native architecture supported by AI-driven automation. We're continuously exploring new ways to improve customer engagement and satisfaction, such as mobile experience, enhancing our CRM systems to seamlessly and intuitively interact with our customers, Overall, I believe these advancements present significant opportunities for Rogers to drive growth, enhance customer experiences, and lead the way in shaping the future of technology in Canada.
Vikram, thank you so much for sharing your time and your perspective today. It's truly been a real pleasure hearing how Rogers is approaching transformation. There's such intention there and innovation and strong partnership. And I really appreciate you being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
That was great, Sarah. That was a really good panel interview with Vikram.
Thank you. I'm super grateful to Vikram for making the time to chat. It's always so insightful to hear how Rogers is approaching the future of CX.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for setting up. So with that, we're actually going to pass it over to Al Macy, our technical specialist, who's going to do a dive into customer-facing agentic with Copilot Studio. Al, kick it off.
Thanks, Alec. My name is Al Macy, and I'm a global black belt at Microsoft on the low-code team, which means that I primarily focus on Power Platform and Copilot Studio, which is a part of Power Platform. And today it's my privilege to get to talk to you about what the advantages are of using Copilot Studio. And I'm going to specifically do that by starting with a demonstration. So I'm going to look at a quick demo application, and I'll explain how I built it and how it works to address this question: what is the advantage of using Copilot Studio? So here I have created a billing agent that answers questions for an end user about their bill and lets them manage aspects of their bill. So it's connected to a bunch of back-end database tables that house information about when they've made payments, what their payment history is, what their auto pay settings are on their account, what payment methods they have associated to account, and those sorts of things. And I'm just going to start out by asking it to show me my currently unpaid bill. It's going to query now, you'll see in the activity map on the left-hand side of the screen, it's going to query a list bills or a bills table to find my current bill and see which ones are unpaid, right? And give me the unpaid bill, and then give me information about it. And one of the things that I can see on here on the list of information is the auto pay status is enabled. And one of the questions I have as a user is, when will that auto pay actually happen? So I'm going to go ahead and ask it, when will the auto pay? I see there's auto pay enabled, so when will that actually happen? And it's going to go now and search a different table you'll see in the activity map, where it's going to go find the settings for auto pay on this account, and then return to me back the date that the auto pay is set for, which is currently June 19th. Now I might be saying to myself, well, June 19th is only a day before the due date. I want to move it to a couple of days earlier just to make sure there's no issues or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it that I'd like to update the auto pay setting. So Copilot Studio lets you connect to a variety of different back-end services, different databases, different applications like Salesforce or ServiceNow, to be able to interact with the information there and allow the agent to perform actions on behalf of the user. So in this case, what we've done is we've now updated the auto pay table. When I asked it to update, it went and searched for the information to get it back for me, made sure it knew what field it needed to update, and then ran an update connector that said, okay, go ahead and create and update that field to June 17th. Now that we've done that, maybe I'm curious how long this actually runs for. Is there an expiration date on it? So let's go ahead and ask that question. So we're going to ask, does the auto pay expire? And what it's going to do now is it's going to search through that table about auto pay settings and look for an expiration date of any kind. And there isn't one in there. I didn't set up an expiration on auto pay, which is something I'll probably want to add. So the next question that I'm going to ask it, and this isn't actually one that I planned on doing in the demo, but I'm going to ask it is, can I set up auto pay? And what it's going to do is it's going to search through all of these different tables and look to see if there's an expiration date for auto pay, and then determine that there actually isn't any set in any of the tables. So it's looking at all the sources of information that it has as knowledge, right? It has these different tables as knowledge that it can reason over. And it's saying, hey, you don't have one set, but I can set one for you, or we could set one together by updating the table. And then it even gave me a handy little example piece of JSON so that I have a schema that I can use to add the expiration date. So why is this an advantage? This is an application I built in about 10 minutes. And the real advantage is that when we think about how we go about building applications that our customers are using, that citizens are using, that we spend and have spent tons of time and money to build these things. And sometimes we've tried to build things that maybe we really weren't worth doing. And what that looked like was something like this. A year ago, we would have built a billing agent for someone, say an IVR, that would have to have a serious number of assumptions around it to constrain the overall scope of work for whatever professional services team would be building it. And it would take a minimum of 7 months to probably implement an NLU IVR that covered maybe 10 different intents that you could capture for a user. And that would involve one channel, just the voice, one language. If you added another language, it basically doubled the project effort. The customer would have to install an application on their side that would intercept calls and collect data for a couple of months so that we could get enough data to train an NLU model. And then we would only provide out of the box one backend integration support, and every other additional backend integration you wanted to do was a few hundred hours of PS work. In today's world, you can build an agent like this in days to weeks. Like, you could probably prototype one if you knew where your data lived and you knew how to properly access it and make it secure and all that kind of good stuff. You could probably do it in days. In most cases, because of the data residency and secure access to it and making sure that no data is being exposed that shouldn't be exposed and all that kind of stuff, it's more like weeks. But you get to capture all your intents because we're using a large language model that can reason over all kinds of information. Now your users can ask questions that go way beyond just, when's my bill date, and do more interesting things. Now, in addition to that, with Copilot Studio, you get support for all kinds of channels, not just voice, but you get a variety of digital channels, including things like Skype. Sorry, not Skype. Skype's no longer a thing, but things like WhatsApp, perhaps, or Facebook, or some of those other kinds of digital channels that people use. You also get multilingual support with a large language model, so you get that right out of the box. You don't need to, have a whole separate PS team to do a different language. We don't need to collect data from you. The large language model's got plenty of data to handle recognition for most use cases. And more importantly, for every backend that you have that has data or that you want to interact with to perform actions on behalf of the user, we have 1,900 plus connectors in Power Platform already defined. And if we don't have one, you can use a custom connector, and all you need to do to create a custom connector is have an open API specification. So with that, I think this is a huge advantage to using Copilot Studio to develop and create applications for your customers. And the sky's the limit in terms of how you want to implement it and what you want to do. So thank you for your time today, and now I'll hand it back to Alec.
That was great. I especially like how he easily plugged in a Dataverse table into Copilot Studio. You can instantly see how that helps reduce the workloads when you're building these kinds of solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I've been seeing Al build these solutions for years now. It's really cool to see what he's able to come up with.
Nice. So we have Daniel next up, and he's going to show us what Microsoft is doing from the perspective of a service member, really delving into that agentic AI. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. All right. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Alec and Sarah. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Pacheco. I'm a global black belt here at Microsoft, specifically a technical specialist for CCaaS. A little bit about myself. I've been in or around the contact center for the last 16 years, having been a contact center agent myself, supervise and manage contact centers globally, also helped on professional services, deploying really large and complex IVR systems and chatbots. And today I have the opportunity to showcase Dynamics 365 Agent Desktop for the contact center. This desktop houses a lot of the new functionality that we can deliver using Copilot features. These features are designed to increase agent efficiency, give them new tools, and automate some of the processes that used to take a long time, because we all know in the contact center, seconds cost a lot of money. And once we start saving minutes on these phone calls, we can see a lot of return on the investment in these applications. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and showcase my desktop and start showing you around. You should now be able to see my screen. So to get a lay of the land, on the left-hand side, we have a chat box, which is a conversation happening between the customer and the agent. And on the right-hand side, we have the 365 agent desktop. I'm going to start with the agent desktop. And the first thing I want to talk about is a communication panel. We have sentiment for the customer. Right now it's neutral. The only interaction that has happened is that they've asked to speak to a representative. Below, we have the transcript of the conversation. This one's really neat. This is a digital chat, so of course we'll see the transcript, but if this was a phone call, we would see the actual transcription of the phone call so the agent can read the conversation as well. The first Copilot feature that I would like to showcase is conversation summary. Conversation summary is really neat because it looks at the previous conversation and simply gives a summary to the agent. How is this helpful? If you have a lot of misroutes in your contact center or very large phone calls, sometimes an agent might get a transfer and there's nothing for them to look at. Your previous agent might not have finished their case notes, so the agent has to go through the same questions that the previous agent went through. Or maybe this was a long IVR conversation. The agent's going to get a summary of all that, regardless if it went through self-service or it came through another agent. So that's a really neat feature, and that's going to save a lot of time because right now, if you need to put a customer on hold, that time is taking away costs. And we'll touch on conversation summary in a little bit because it's really light right now. Moving to the right, we just have some customer details, some recent cases that have been opened, but the next feature I'd like to showcase is called timeline. And one of the things inside of timeline is called highlights. Highlights looks at all previous customer contacts. So whether that was an email, that was a text message, that was a phone call, that was a digital chat, we keep a timeline of all those contacts that the users have had with us. And then we use Copilot to showcase highlights. So give me a couple of bullets of what these previous engagements were about, any trends that you see. So those are provided to an agent to review. And as we scroll down here, you can see that I've had a lot of live chats here, some case resolution items. But something neat that I would like to showcase is the ability to review previous transcripts or previous notes that were left from other agents. In this instance, here's a quick summary of a conversation that has happened. You can click on transcript. And now the agent will have access to review all the transcript. This one's a little light because I just closed it really quick, but there's an ability to download the transcript. There's an ability to listen to phone calls. There's some other contact center metrics. If this was a large phone call and there was more queues involved, we would get conversation journey. So looking at where the customer ended, they started from this phone number, went through this IVR and through that queue into this transfer, et cetera, et cetera. So all really neat features. And then on the right-hand side, we have Copilot. This Copilot is just like the one you and I use today. You ask a question, you're expecting a response back. And this is really going to help the agents because traditionally we train agents to handle, the top intents that we get, but we have a lot of edge cases. We live in a complex environment. It might be difficult to find information. Perhaps there's nobody around that has the information. They can't ask anybody over their shoulder, call a supervisor. This is where Copilot comes in. The agent is able to ask Copilot questions and get a response. So I'm going to give a simple question here. How to set up autopay. Something very simple. Let's say the agent didn't know that. We now get a response with some details right away. Very easy for the agent to read. Let's say this was a question that was asked by the customer. We can send this directly to the customer. The agent is able to check the sources. They can click it. They're going to get a tab open where some information could display to them. So this makes it really easy for an agent to get information. Now imagine this connected to your knowledge sources. How many questions is an agent going to be able to ask? Hundreds, if not thousands of questions, and that's going to save a ton of time from the agent doing research, having to jump to another screen, asking people around them, and interrupting the operations. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the conversation. So the first thing, I have some quick replies that I already have in place. So I'm going to ask the customer, how can I help them? And the customer is coming in around a bill that's higher than they were expecting. So they're looking for us to explain that bill summary to them. And I have some other quick replies so you don't have to watch me typing. I'm going to tell Mike I'm going to pull up some recent information and take a closer look. So I want to point your eyes back to the right-hand side of the screen where it says Copilot. This is the next Copilot feature that I would like to showcase. This is called the Intent Agent. This Intent Agent is really neat. It's looking at all the previous transcripts that you have. And this can go back as far as you need it to, and build a logical flow for the agent to follow in order to help the customer with this exact intent. In my environment, I don't have a lot of transcripts to do the mining for this, but you can see if this was any type of intent that you have, some steps that an agent could follow, some scripts that they can use, what a logical flow would be. So this one's really neat. This is going to save agents a ton of time. It's basically an agent coach. And there have been agent coaches in the past that required a lot of training, a lot of optimization, but with Copilot Studio, we can get this up and running pretty quick, pretty accurately. And this is really going to help agent navigate these complex conversations that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with this conversation. I see the total for the month is 263, which is definitely higher. So I'm going to tell Mike, I'm going to go through it. He's going to say no problem. And we're just going to continue to have a conversation. So I'm going to ask him, was he traveling during this time frame? He's going to respond that he was. And I'll go ahead and look at the biller, other information. I'll check into his account. And I'm going to tell him he doesn't have the international texting plan. Some more quick replies here. He's going to go in and says, that sucks. I didn't know it would be extra cost. I'm going to tell him I totally understand that we do have a $10 per day pass that he could have bought, but he doesn't have it. I'm a good customer service representative. I'm going to go ahead and retroactively apply that plan for him so it can go back. He's going to leave very happy. Let me go ahead and respond one more time. Thanks. Anything else? So remember the conversation summary that we had in the beginning of the conversation. I'm going to go ahead and tell Copilot to summarize the conversation now. We're going to get something completely different because now there's details for Copilot to go through. So look at this conversation summary, just a really nice and concise conversation summary. So this can now be notes. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them in the notes. Oh, I hit attach files. Apologies. Let's just go ahead and leave some notes. We can automate this, but I just want to show the ability to leave notes here. Something else that's really neat, I probably won't get a response right now, but it's suggest a response. So anytime during the conversation an agent needs help, they could ask Copilot to suggest a response to them. So now think about it like this. We have the intent agent looking to find the right flow for them, the right protocol and questions for them. If the responses aren't there, we can also ask Copilot to suggest a response, and it's going to jump into the Copilot window. It's probably not going to suggest anything for me here. This conversation is pretty much over, but it has the ability to do that. So that's going to help agents save time. But it did come up with something, just a kind of a closing response, which is really neat. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to the customer. And this conversation is over. That will be all. So great. We've had a conversation. Now I'm going to go ahead and end this chat. So I'm going to hit end chat. And now we're going to get into the next agent that we're going to showcase. This one is called automated case creation or case creation agent. We can do this in the beginning of the phone call, after the phone call, but I really wanted to focus on it at the end because we just had a lengthy conversation. Details have been retrieved. Highlights have been formed, so let's go ahead and look. This is a billing inquiry case now that has been opened for Mike. We have a case summary that we can request. This is kind of the same way as highlights or conversation summary, but here's a case summary. So if this was a lot longer case, or it was assigned to different departments, every agent is going to have the opportunity to review what this case was actually about. And then we have highlights just for the ticket. The previous highlights that we saw were highlights for Mike as a person. These highlights are for this case. So if there's multiple inquiries within this case, guess what? They're all going to be tagged now. Any notes, etc., are all going to be part of this case. So let's say this case is done and resolved. I'm going to resolve this case, and the next agent that I would like to showcase is called our knowledge article case agent. I'm not really sure what they want us to call it, but this is a automated knowledge creation. So it's going to look at the information that we've had in this conversation and propose a new knowledge article, because maybe this was something complex. Maybe this is something that simply wasn't in our knowledge articles before. So here we go. We have something very simple. Review the bill to identify the charges, looking at the international pass. So we can now submit this to our supervisor to say, hey, I did these steps to solve the problem. Perhaps this is going to be useful to another agent. And then this knowledge article becomes available to all the other agents. It becomes part of the intent agent. It could become part of Copilot. And now you start seeing the evolution of the contact center, all of these tools that are helping our agents get better. So I hope this was really informative for you. I had a really good time showcasing it to you. Now back to Alec and Sarah.
Fantastic. Daniel, thank you so much for walking us through that.
Yeah, dare I say that demo was dynamic? Sorry, but seriously, it's really cool to see what Microsoft is doing and how they are incorporating AI into Copilot in these flows and really improving that agent experience.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much, Sarah. And with that, that's actually the end of our webinar. So I just want to thank everyone so much for coming. We have ways you can get a hold of Sarah and I if you'd like to reach out to us via email or LinkedIn. Also, we are both companies, Connex and Microsoft, will be at Customer Contact Week next week in Las Vegas. We would love to see you. Feel free to reach out if you want a one-on-one meeting, or if you just want to stop by the booth, we can show you some of the other agentic capabilities that we're building as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.